June 22nd, Monday. Good afternoon from Europe. Good morning, good evening, guys, whatever you are. Piotr here, is Light Forex Global YouTube channel. And well, we are approaching end of the second quarter, slowly but surely. Today, during this particular update, we are going to discuss metals. So without the further ado, let's go straight into and visit the first chart. All right, so what we have here is a gold. It's a gold, and what is important is today open, right? We gapped down, we gapped up on the gold compared to the previous Friday close, right? So previous week close, we gapped up, but what was the open? Weekly open is equal to this possible lower high before we hit the high. So there is a possibility we are going to see from the bear's perspective finishing the business, right? We were discussing this setup quite a few times, and because we also have blue line, not only blue dotted but blue line, we do know that is a significant level based on the weekly chart, based on what we have to the left, right? And there you go. Here what we have in relation to the current market action. Of course, the latest rejection wasn't that huge, that telling me that based on the monthly chart, if the bears are going to give up here, we might see a level related to the monthly chart. In that case, we are talking about the 1785. That could be finishing the business based on that zone over here. Well, there is a strong supply, and I still believe, even I'm currently flat when it comes to the gold, we are going to see lower levels from here, from that whole particular zone. I'm talking about 1755, 1785 when it comes to the weekly chart. If that's the case, how low can we go, right? If that's the latest consolidation and we are going to double that consolidation, all right, we should see levels close to 16 level, and it's gonna be in relation to what we've seen to the left, right? Both taking into the consideration breakdown and previously break to the upside. That could be the first target to the downside. If we are going to break that to the upside, of course, the levels we discussed around 1785 with stop count towards 1800 could be the case on gold from the weekly chart perspective. Let's have a look what we have lower. Let's have a look what we have from the daily chart perspective. All right. So a little bit of the choppy trading. So some stops to the upside, some stops to the downside. The consolidation I've mentioned a second ago. All right. Now, clearly, and we were discussing this level quite a few times. Clearly, 1690, right? 1690, 1685. That was the quite good support, and based on the lower shadow we've seen here, well, it's holding, but also the upper side based on the upper shadows is holding for now. Tight range when it comes to the gold. Well, it's hard to say if you are a bullish on stocks because of the stimulus, right? Well, there are plenty of different opportunities to try to invest in than gold, right? It's not an asset is bringing you some kind of the cash flow, anything like that. If you are afraid of the total collapse, right? Well, I wouldn't say gold is a great hedge here, right? As well, because if you do expect a huge collapse, probably we are going to go down on the gold as well. We are going to on the many assets we are going to go down. So I would be very, very careful trying to be so bullish on the gold at current level when it comes to the daily chart. So let's switch lower, let's switch to the hourly, and let's have a look what we have here. And here what I like is the price action we've seen over the course of the Tokyo session with the price action we've seen during the European hours, right? So what is going right now here is a retest of the possible supply. I'm going to watch very, very carefully, right? Because we tested also some support around 1742 already, all right? So I want to see what is going to happen here. Well, I think 1-to-1 is possible with the 1732 as a target. Is it going to happen? Well, I'm going to look closer around US cash open, and if we are still below 1750, 1752, yes, I might try to, from the intraday perspective, try to trade in the short side. The risk event, of course, the numbers when it comes to the COVID from Texas, Florida, overall I'm talking about the US. So it's worth to watch at the beginning of the week what's going to happen, where we are going to end the day. I like the current levels when it comes to the short side. Next one is a silver. Let's have a look what we have from the weekly chart, and we are testing huge possible supply, right? Huge possible supply. And we were talking that, well, there was some space for the bulls to retest 1850, and currently, as you can see, we are around these levels. Right? So silver looks good, and if you are stocks bullish, then silver probably could be the asset you wanna own because it's an industrial metal, right? So in that case, maybe if you have a possibility to trade or monitor silver gold ratio, being bullish on that, that could be the case. Anyway, from that chart perspective, it could be very, very choppy, and let me explain, right? Let me explain. So let me make it bigger for you. So this particular thing here is a possible supply where the top, right, finishing the business of the swing high could be the name of the game. So even above 1850, a bit above. But on the other hand, the bulls can argue, well, that's our latest weakness, that's what we are trying to hold, 50% of that one, right? 17, okay? So it looks like, based on also what we have on the gold, here on the silver, a little bit of the tight range between 1880, 19 to the upside and 17, 16, 80, maybe even 1660 to the downside. That could be this type of the range. So eventually trying to fade the rallies and trying to buy the dips could be the name of the game when it comes to the silver, meaning something like trying to fade somewhere here and trying to be on the buy side somewhere here, right? With breakthrough 19 level, well, we are opening very significant potential, upside potential, even towards 28 and 30. So be careful. If we are going to see that break and close above, there is no reason to try to stay short on the market when it comes to the silver here from the weekly chart perspective. Let's switch lower. Let's switch to the daily chart. All right, and very similar what we discussed a second ago on the weekly. Visible, even better, the supply, right? And the latest local weakness, and we are trying to hold these levels over here. So again, no change when it comes to the daily chart here on the silver, trying for now to fade the rallies towards 1880, 19, trying to be on the buy side somewhere around 17, 1680, maybe even 1660. All right, over to the next one, Palladium, right? Well, after huge and monster rally, if you remember, at some point where we were almost around the high, I've mentioned that there are gonna be one day, stronger higher we go, stronger lower we will fall, right? Harder. And it looks like that's the case. We were trying to hold 2000, but still failing above 2000. So bouncing between 1750, 1700 and 2000, 2150. Overall, if that's gonna be easier for you, I would check from the daily chart perspective, I would check the range from the 21st of April. We are talking about this price action here, right? Because we are staying inside that range. This particular day set up the range, and look for how long we already here from the mid-April. So 2 months, above 2 months right now. Okay, so we have to the downside 1750, to the upside. Okay, let's make the calculation a little bit easier. 2150. So we are talking about the $400. So in that case, if we are going to break to the upside, we are talking about the 250. So we are going to retest this particular supply visible over here, right? In case of the more downside, we are talking about the 1350. In that case, we are talking about that particular demand right over here. So looks like these stops we've seen after this huge waterfall might be under the radar from the bear's perspective, right? So again, for now, 1750 to the up to the downside, 2100, 2150 to the upside. Breaking above is opening the supply around 2500, right? Again, we are talking about this particular range created on that particular day, right? Above, that's the supply. Below, that's the possible demand when it comes to the Palladium, right? The next one is Platinum, and here it's quite interesting situation. We were discussing there was a break to the downside, right? And gold struggling, Palladium struggling, but here this 800 level when it comes to the Platinum, right? After this gap up and retest, well, guys, we trying to hold that one. Okay, we trying to hold that one. That starting to looks quite okay. Of course, we have this supply over here, especially around 910, 915, right? But I like the retest we've seen previous week. In case of the retest of 790, 770, right? That could be with very tight stop. That could be buying opportunity with the first target around 910, 915. And eventually with the 1000 retest, this pre-COVID rally we've seen. All right, so that's how I see the things going on here. So well, silver, right, and platinum here, and silver quite okay. Gold and palladium, right? Well, there is a chance to see more downside. All right, folks, that was my pleasure to make this metals update for you. In case of the questions, please leave the comment below. Well, we are going to see what's going to happen during the first weekly trading session during the New York cash market. Probably somewhere around the opening or a little bit closer to the Europe, close. I'm going to make eventually an update. We'll see what kind of the action we are going to get. That's it. Don't be trapped, guys, right? Do your own research, do your own homework, and see you around. Take care and goodbye.